Hello, friends and fellow YouTubers. Today I have brought to you another video. As you can see, today's video is going to be about reasons as to why permanent residents are not choosing to be Canadian citizens anymore. It's a very interesting topic. It's a very important topic for Canadians and Canadian government, and as well as people who are trying to migrate to Canada with prospects of becoming Canadian citizens and getting that Canadian passport. Now, it's hard to imagine why someone would not want to get the Canadian passport, which it's one of the top, easily one of the top five strong passports in the world, which would enable you basically visa-free entry to anywhere in the world. So I don't. We're going to discuss about different reasons why I think it's important. But first, before I go for that, the reason for me to choose this topic today is that I've come across a lot of videos by small content creators, and as well as come across came across a couple of articles on the website. I'm just going to go over it real quick with you, and then and give you my opinion about it. So this is a fact. It's not. I'm not lying. I'm going to take you to directly to the source as to where I have found this out. So without further ado, let's take a quick look. So here's the website that I was referring to. This is globalnews.ca. It's a news website, and I'm gonna share the link with you, and the title. As you can see at the top right away, it says 40% decline in permanent residents becoming Canadian citizens since 2001. That's what the data shows right now. And it's written by Christian Collington, the Canadian Press. It was posted on February 15th, which is about a week from here, and was again updated on 4th. On the same day in about 10 minutes. So, what does it say? So, let's have a quick read through on the article. So here it says there was another one. It says, despite Canadian job growth, immigration boost key to help Canada's labor shortage. I don't know what they're talking about. They're saying there's a labor shortage in Canada, but there's also I can guarantee that there is an employment rate in the rising as well. So which I have discussed in the previous videos as well. I will put a link to that here as well. Now, what does the article say? Let's take a look. So it says StatCan numbers reveal the percentage of permanent residents who became or who become Canadians has plummeted over the past 20 years. So the Institute of Canadian Citizenship says Statistics Canada data points to a 40% decline in citizenship uptake since 2001. The group CEO Daniel Bernhard calls the drop alarming and says it should serve as a wake up call to improve the experience of newcomers have in Canada. In 2021, nearly 45.7% of permanent residents who'd been in Canada for less than 10 years became citizens. That's down to 60% from 60% in 2016 and 75.1% in 2001. So as you can see, there's clearly a drop. Even if we consider 2016 and 2001, the drop was only 15%, but it was a drop. And it's again from 2016, there's another 20% or 15% drop on 2021. And from 2016, if you look at 2022, you can say that it's 40% drop. For 2022 as well. So that is definitely alarming. More, let's see what more does it say. It continues and says the StatCan data did not identify reasons for the drop, but Bernhard suggests that Canada's cost of living, job prospects are likely factors. Yep, we are going to discuss about this in short. He says the institute is investigating the root causes. There are myriad of issues, said Bernhard, but ultimately what's changing is that people have decided that they're less interested in being Team Canada. Bernard said decline affects Canada's long-term economic and social outlook. This is a problem for all of us who care about Canada's future prosperity and dynamism. He said we need to solve this for future of our economy. The federal government has said that it wants to boost immigration by adding 1.4 million permanent residents over the next 3 years, starting with 465,000 in to 2023 and increasing to 500,000 in 2025. So that's a big target. So what's going on? So we will take a quick look at it and see what is exactly going on here. And as we do that, I'm going to take you further with it. So let's see. I'm going to share some of the reasons that I think is important for this and what could be causing it, and I'll give you my opinion on it as well. So first things first, like it was mentioned or pointed out in the article itself, I think it's really important. Canada has gotten significantly costlier since 2019. I came to Canada. I migrated to Canada in 2017. Um, Now, in 2019, at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, there was COVID. So some people say it's because of COVID and things are going to go back to the way they were. Or even if you consider the Russia and Ukraine war leading to higher gas prices, utility prices across the world. Right now, when I came, I used to pay under a dollar for the gas, and now I'm paying almost $2 per liter for gas, which is almost 100% or if not more increase. And that has led to, because gas basically controls everything in the economy. Once the gas prices go up, pretty much everything goes up as well. Now, next is increasing lending rates by the federal feds. Now, since 2019, COVID, or gas prices, for whatever reason, there has been an inflation, and to control that inflation because of the higher gas prices, like I just mentioned, the feds have been constantly, or Bank of Canada, or Canada Central Bank has constantly been increasing their lending rates to the banks, which in turn means that the liquidity in the market, they want to control the liquidity in the market, and at the same time they don't want overspending, which will control the spending and inflation, and kind of control the inflation as well. So that's another reason. But at the end of the day, people who have already bought the properties, for them, it's becoming even more costlier to pay those monthly installments. People who are on variable interest rates, because variables are always better than the fixed. But now, right now, people who are on the variable interest rate, they're paying higher interest rate, which means that people who are renting the property, which is, I would say, about 60% of Canada or even more, are renting, and which means that if they're renting, their rents have gone up, and because their rents have gone up, it's affecting in a different way. So it's basically not controlling the inflation. It's affecting, it's overall, it's affecting, the effect is nil. Next is increase in unemployment, or something completely different. Yep, so unemployment rate is going high as well. Like I said, I mean, mortgage rates are going up. The businesses have closed down. People are, kind of finding it difficult to. That's one of the reasons I couldn't understand when they say there's a labor shortage. I do not think there's a labor shortage. It's just that it's misdirected labor that's being brought into the country. So if someone who is an accountant or a chartered accountant, he doesn't immediately get a job in here, he or she end up being an Uber driver, or someone working for a food delivery services. Obviously, it's not gonna be sufficient. They're not happy with the jobs, and so on and so forth, right? So that, I feel, is the main reason. Now, the second reason that I feel is unemployment of permanent residents. Like I mentioned in the slide before, a lot of well-educated permanent residents in Canada are unable to get the desired job in Canada. So let's say, for example, someone who's had a 10-year experience working in a bank in Pakistan comes to Canada, and they're going to have to give the IFIC. They're going to have to give another couple exams. They're going to have to prove their experience, and they're going to have to start at a clerk level. Now, they may be a class 2 officer in Pakistan. Now they're coming to Canada, and they're going to have to start all over again. They're going to start at a lower level. So sometimes not even that. They don't even end up getting a job at the bank. They end up being either working at a call center for 16, $17 an hour, something that they never did, or they didn't prefer to do in Pakistan. Not that they can't, but yeah, or some Pakistan, India. I'm not just taking the name Pakistan. It could be Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Singapore, or any other country. I would. It would be hard to imagine why would someone immigrate from Singapore, but nevertheless, Dubai and such other countries, right? So, as a cab driver, they end up working at a gas station for like 20 odd dollars an hour, or as a cab driver. Uber, delivery services, or Uber driver. All these jobs are not bad. Let me put that out. But most people have different experiences and understandably would like to work in the same field and possibly at the same level. So if you've been a bank employee and you prefer that kind of job, that's why you've been in that same role for 10 years or 10 years. Now when you come to Canada, you no longer have that experience, you no longer have everything. You're starting as if you're a new graduate, right? So a lot of places they don't explicitly mention the Canadian experience, but they would not hire you, and they say, well, this is not there or that is not there, and they're always an excuse. And sometimes you may also even hear them say that there is not enough Canadian experience on the resume. On top of that, now the student visa holders can also work 40 hours a week. And in big and small cities, the jobs are not nearly as easily available for white collar jobs. So you can understand before the students, when they came in, they were only allowed to work 20 hours a week, and only as a part time. So basically, they had limited exposure to the work experience, and the permanent residents were preferred as someone who works now. As opposed to that, someone who's coming as a student now can work at 40 hours a week. So even if they work at a Subway restaurant or hotels or Tim Hortons or even something else, the problem is that they don't have that kind of the permanent residents don't have to compete with student visa holders, who may be much younger, much more energetic, but at the same time, lack of experience, but they and would be willing to work at $20 an hour, as opposed to a permanent resident who might be, with his 10 years of experience, might be able to negotiate a 25 or $30 job, but now he's going to have to settle down for that $20 job, or even less, because he just doesn't have that kind of negotiating skill anymore, or opportunity to negotiate in the first place. So that's definitely one thing that I've heard a lot when I talk to people as well. The third is a lack of dual citizenship. So although Canada does allow dual citizenship, this Canada cannot be blamed, or you can't really point a finger at Canada for this. It's just that some countries don't allow dual citizenship. For example, India, I know that does not have dual citizenship. So which means that if you're a citizen of Canada, and if you were Indian born and raised in India, you're basically were a citizen of India. Now, when you take up a citizenship for Canada, you have to give away your Indian citizenship. Not many people are willing to give away their rights as citizen in their birth country, and because it's let's be honest, when they come to Canada, they are in a testing phase. They don't really know what to expect out of Canada, and they're just going to try to work it out. How does it feel to live in Canada? And if it doesn't work out, obviously they can head back. Now every year, based on this Stat Canada data, there are up to 50 to 60,000 immigrants emigrate, uh, which is basically means that they leave Canada and move back to their own country within under 3 to 5 years. And this is actual statistical data. I'm going to share the link in the description section as well. This is what I think. So again, and there could be numerous reasons why they don't want to give up. And like I said, they may be in the testing phase. Number one, they may be in a phase where they're trying to. I mean, originally they never intended to come here to Canada and settle, but instead they just wanted to spend like 10, 15 years and go back as well. I've known a lot of people. Uh, so this could be multiple reasons, right? So next that I know of is homesickness coupled with different culture. Now Canada is a different culture as opposed to some of the countries in Asia. So you name it, Pakistan, you know, uh, India, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Philippines. I know a lot of people from Philippines. They I also had a friend who just left last year back in Philippines. He had a great job. He was earning 75K a year, working as an accountant, but just couldn't make it. He just didn't feel right, or just it didn't feel that he had that feeling of dissatisfaction living here. So it could be homesickness coupled with different cultures. So what I mean is, for some, it's just not same as they would imagine. So when you move to Canada, you have a certain picture in your mind, in your head, and you think that, okay, you're gonna move to Canada, you're gonna make it big, you're gonna make a big house, you're gonna buy a big house, get new cars, and your kids are gonna love it. But sometimes it's not the same, and immediately after, like 4 or 5 years later, or maybe even sooner, maybe like up to 2 to 3 months, you start feeling homesick. You don't really feel good about it, and it's never easy to uproot all your stuff and move to a country completely different than your where you were raised and brought up. It's almost inevitable to feel homesick at the beginning, coupled with lower level jobs, like I said about in previous slides, harsh weather, no friends or family to hang out with, and completely different cultural values as well. So, obviously, when you're raised in a different country where it's a tropical climate or hot climate, and when you come to something very cold, half the year at least, you're going to feel different. The cultures are different. The way you celebrate your festivals is going to be different. The time you spend out with your friends and family is going to be different as well. So all those the things matter. And you got to remember one thing: it's not easy to immigrate to Canada. You got to spend, you have to show. So when I came to Canada, the requirement for me to show funds to immigrate to Canada was $20,000. Now $20,000 is equal to, if not more than, an amount you can make for a down payment in a city like Calgary or Edmonton, or even 25% down payment in cities in some of the smaller cities like Manitoba, for instance, right? So financial prosperity may not be able to hold back a person to stay in Canada in most cases. So it's going to have an emotional connection. Now, if you don't have that emotional connection, most people are going to feel homesick. They're going to want to go back. And again, it's not easy to travel back and forth as well. If I let's say for instance, if I have to travel back to India, I'm going to have to shell out $3,000 just for myself. With a family of 4 people, I'm going to end up spending $10,000, which is again equal to half, if not the entire amount of down payment for a house. And even if you are, there are different circumstances which is not going to allow you to just head back to your home country. So it's not easy. It's far off. It feels aloof at times, and you're not even if you live in your local community, it's not the same, right? I mean, it's you've been raised completely different place, and you're coming and living in a different country. So yeah, that is it. And what more I have is that there could be multitude of other reasons you can think of, like what exactly is the reason? Why would you think of circumstances, or why would you think of not taking citizenship? There could be I can think of 100 different reasons, but for the sake of time, and I just wanted to make sure that I've laid out the most important points here. You let me know how you feel about it. If you have a different perspective or opinion, I'm more than happy to hear about it as well. I have taken the Canadian citizenship, because like I said at the beginning, I just can't imagine who would not want to take a Canadian citizenship. They still do have their options to go back. I understand that it doesn't bring a lot of stuff, but one of the most important attractive thing about Canada or Canadian citizenship is Canadian passport, right? So even for the lack of anything else, I would definitely recommend you to take up that citizenship. After having spent so much money, time, and effort, I think that it's definitely something that you should give it a try. And you can always have different options. Like if you're an Indian citizen, you always have an option of getting an overseas citizenship of India. I know it doesn't give you all the rights, but it's still something. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. If you have any questions, comments, reactions to my video, please comment down below in the comment section. Like my video, share to your friends and family, and let me know how you feel about it. So that's about it. Thank you so much for spending your time, and have a great day. Bye now.